all right. Whew. Okay. It's another time, another episode, another session. Um, Beloved is EMTV again. We are live. We are live again. As we said since the beginning of the week, and we said that we will have two sessions tonight. We started with worship, and now is time of talking, share. And as you can see in studio, I am not myself. By the way, welcome. This is EMTV. We are live. We are live again. You can invite your friend. You can invite even your neighbor. Go to next door and knock. By the way, I am not myself right now in studio. As you can see, I have two amazing people in the studio. My name, you all know. I go by the name of Jacob. You can call me James. That's fine. And to those who doesn't know me, those are my names. And I'll let our special guests to introduce themselves. Of course, they are looking beautiful, and I am so. Woo. Tonight is gonna be fire on fire. So let me start with a gentleman over there. I believe he will introduce himself, and we all going to know him. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for watching. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Eve, and I'm new to the platform and joining for this momentous occasion.
Mr. Eve, you are very welcome. You are most welcome. And in the middle we have another special guest, and she, by the way, she's not a guest. She already know. This is her second time to be with us, so she'll introduce again herself as usual. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Tantine for those who are new, and I'm glad to be here and to be able to talk to you guys. It is a blessing.
Man, you know when you're dealing with the holy people, they always say, they usually don't forget holy. It's gonna be a blessing.
You always have to include that.
If you're dealing with the holy people. So, beloved, please, if you have any comment, any question, or any suggestion, you can write down the comment. We'll be able to read your comments and share your thoughts so we can go together along this. To introduce our topic tonight, it is very, very amazing topic that I believe you have one word to say or to talk about it. I believe that. So tonight we are going to talk about three-dimension or three dimensions of true love. Three dimensions of true love. I believe Wednesday, it was amazing day, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
People, there was bees with flowers and all those kind of things. You know what happened? I went to this is just on a bracket. I went to Safeway and I find a lot of people in the shop. A lot of people, I'm telling you. I was like, oh, so people, they can be busy buying flowers like this.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it was just amazing how people, they love each other. It's amazing how people, they try to show that to their partners. But now we'll try to be more real a little bit, huh? Because
That is past.
oh yeah. Because a lot of people they might live in fake kind of love.
Yes.
And let's try to navigate a little bit in these three dimensions and see how we might come out with a good picture of true love, because a lot of people, they're suffering with a true love. The thing is not about loving. The problem is the true love. And so the point number one, or first dimension, is passion. Passion. What do you guys think about passion when if we are talking in terms of love?
I believe that passion has to be one of the groundworks, because it's what keeps the love going, because you may not love the person all the time, but in your heart, like, hey, this is my person. Like, even when you're out somewhere, you see something nice and you think about them, like, okay, let me pick something up for this person. Because I know I may not like it, but it's gonna bring this person joy. Yes.
Wow. And if we try to, how about you? Before we move forward deeper?
Well, the way I look at passion, as Eve said, it's the thing that drives the relationship. It's like the driver in the driver's seat. So passion is it's what expresses your love for someone. It's what causes you to desire to express that love in greater ways, not just like small things, but but it causes you to express your love in a greater way.
And so I don't want to interrupt you, but I love this already. When we talk about passion, first of all, we see it's a point that drives each person individually. Passion is not a thing that it needs people to be combined already.
No.
It's something that is individually. And on my perspective, I see that passion. Let's talk about men, right? If I love something, I have to pursue. There is a passion. The fruit of passion is pursuing, right? So you can say that you love someone, or you love your girlfriend, or your boyfriend, and you don't have passion for that. So the passion will give you a motive to go further. What do you think about that, guys?
I believe it's one of the main driving forces, because you see someone that you want to go further along, and so that gives you a drive to try, whether it be every single day or every single chance you get, to try harder and harder to initiate.
Go ahead.
No, that was my point.
Do you think a lot of young men, or a lot of lovers people, do you think they do have that kind of point in their loves?
Well, in our current society right now, it's not so much something that's like that's applauded. It's people nowadays are more so seeking short-term gain over the longevity or the potential for long-lasting commitment and relationships. Yeah, which is rather unfortunate.
Right about
Yes.
you, Nancy.
When I look at our generation, because passion can have many different reasons. Many different perspective in how you look at passion. You can have a passion for someone, but all you want is to, it's a lustful passion for someone.
Right. I like that.
And there's a
Okay.
passion where you're like, yes, I truly love this person, and I want to respect them and their boundaries and what they stand for. So there's two different
think the fake passion can strive until where someone can put someone in the house like a wife or husband?
Yeah.
The fake one.
Yeah.
That is dangerous.
I
That is
mean,
very dangerous.
yeah, that can happen. And there's so many marriages like that. You just find people like, oh, I'm passionate about this person, but like it's not coming from a good place where it's like, oh, I really love and respect this person, but it can be based on your background, where you're from, what you've gone through. So you will see this woman, you're like, yes, I'm passionate about her. And once you get her into the house, you're like,
The love start to fade out.
it starts to fade.
It start to fade out.
Yeah, you're like, I don't think I'm that passionate about her. So all those things that you were doing outside of the marriage, whereby you were buying her flowers, taking her out on dates, doing all these things, they're starting to fade out. And the woman is like, why isn't my husband doing these things that he used to do?
Right.
It's because that passion was not a true passion. It was just a short kind of passion.
Now that is leading me to a question. How can we find this true passion?
In this generation, it's hard.
How about you?
So I believe that it's goes by the individual. There's deeper factors into that, but you have to be already centered into yourself. You have to know who you are as an individual, and you have to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that, hey, this is the person that I want, and I want something longer with this person. And you have to be realistic in knowing that no matter what happens, like how I feel about this person is not going to change. Because that goes back to what we're saying about, like people falling in love or, for short-term gain, whether it be lustful or just something that they feel like they have to conquer. But for those who engage in it, those that are centered into themselves, and those that know that, hey, this is someone that I see a possibility of like longevity with, then they are more realistic in knowing that they're gonna keep trying, even after, because like whether it be relationships, marriages, or whatnot, some emotions, they go up and down. But if like, hey, I know like sometimes you're not gonna always be in love with this person, but you still have to show up, because it goes back to doing like the little things, because like, hey, like maybe we had an argument yesterday, I don't want to keep that. Let's say I'm out, I'm like, oh, I know something, if I get something for this person, I've come across something and I know that it makes that person happy, that you get it, because it's not just you. It's you have to look at it from like the other person's perspective as well. Like, hey, I know we're not getting along right now, but I'm out here, would you like me to get you something? Because I know like it's gonna bring a smile to your face, and that also works into the possibility of mending whatever might have been an argument to a more positive outcome. Yeah.
That's good.
And that reminds me where Jacob did 14 years just to get one woman. The true love that he had on that woman, even though they tried to play a game for him, but he said, hey, please, I'm willing to work another 7 years just to get this woman. So in that fake passion, I believe that people, they always tired on some point. Now, we don't need to wait until people, they start to tired. That's when we understand that, oh, so this guy or this woman, she didn't have a passion, maybe she wanted my money, maybe she wanted my, you know, my capability that I of my life. You know, there is a lot of girls, they are gold diggers. They always look some good men and start to, you know, they might come to you, but they don't love you. They don't have anything with you. They have passion for your money.
That's true. That's true. I have seen, things like that.
Right,
It
right,
is, it's unfortunate, but it's things that have been going on for a very, very long time. And it goes both ways for both, men and women. Women are seeking, they may not like you, they don't, so they want to use you for whatever that they're gonna
And
gain
that's
out
really
of
bad.
you.
That's really bad.
Whilst the men, they're gonna think, oh, this person likes me, but they only want you for your possessions or the access that you have.
That's right.
But so when that access and those positions, dwindle, and that's when you start to see the true nature of these individuals.
Right.
And then you wonder, like, what happened? So, and then that's when you get to people, infidelity and, abuse and, and things like that. And it's crazy. It's crazy because being involved with another person is not something that should be taken lightly. Because, rather be, there's a lot that goes into the psychology of attaching yourself to another human being. Because, when you become a part of that person, they become, somewhat dependent on you. Certain things that they value, that they'll have for you. So when you take that away, you basically put their lives in disarray.
In disarray, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
in
yes.
disarray where, whether it be a man or woman, the love that they thought they had is no longer there, which affects, their other parts of their lives, and throw them into complete chaos.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What about you, Tanti? Wow. That is so great.
What he just said is very true. And just like being a young woman in general, I've seen that in most of my friends. Where it's not just like being used, it's just that there's been approaches where, like, men are promising them these things.
I'll give you word.
I'll give you the world.
You're
And
like
it's
a sun shining in a glass.
yeah, there's all these things being promised to them, and then it comes to turn out they're promising the same things to another person.
Right.
So that have seen, like, it's breaking the hearts of a lot of young women, whereby when they go out and they're like, oh, I don't trust any men. Like, my heart can't trust.
They already destroyed
Yes.
that trust.
Yes. They've lost that trust in men, where it's like, I can't trust anybody. Even if, they promise me the universe, I can't trust them, because that trust, there's been a pattern that's been made
Right.
throughout their history where men have, broken their trust. So it's hard for them to, like, get into the next chapter of their lives. So that hinders their walks into life, because it's hard for them to turn the chapter. They just remain in that same chapter. Oh, he did this, I can't trust this next one. Yeah.
And also to add to that, like we see that, for me personally, like I see that more often, where be men or women that have, dealt with someone who promised them something and ended up being something entirely different and destroyed, damaged them per se, for whatever other positive outcomes that they could have. But now that they've had that experience, all their outcomes is now, muddied. All they see is, it's lies, even where, they'll come around a good man or a good woman.
Yeah.
all they end up seeing is like, oh, this person is just like the last
Yeah.
person, so and
Okay.
which causes them to move with extreme cautious, doesn't allow them to be fully trusting. It's like one foot in, one foot out.
Yeah.
It's like they're just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Wow.
You
I
know?
like that.
Yeah, no, it's true. They're just waiting for like, oh, when he's gonna lie to me? When is he gonna, when is he gonna go cheat?
Right.
What is this person doing? So it's caused a little
So
bit of
they're living with
paranoia.
the expective.
Yeah,
like
they're
they
expecting
expect
failure.
Mm.
Instead of going with faith, instead of them going with faith and giving the next person an opportunity to show them something different.
Wow.
Because as human beings, nobody's perfect. So by going into things with expectation of failure, you're more likely to fail because like when you're expecting failure, you don't end up putting your best foot forward because you're going in with like, oh, this person was supposed to be back from work at so and so. They're not back from work. Are they out with some other woman or are they out with some other man? Because it goes back to like that. It's like trauma, that they've had from the previous relationship, where now they're paranoid, while they're in the new relationship. So they carry that paranoia into their new relationship or marriage, which in the end it crumbles,
Yeah.
because your intention was never pure. It was always based on the outcome of failure. And so down the line, when you receive failure, and then like, oh, see, this is what I said it would fail, and here it is. I was right. But and here come out and here you find that it's because you were not putting your best foot forward. Maybe how you were approaching things made the other person also approach things differently instead of being outwardly honest.
Do you think now it's very hard to find a true pursuing people, like the one who has the really true passion of love?
I believe so, because our generation right now, we're dealing with more intensive things. We have more access to not just technology, the media from all around the world. We have more access to people than, like the previous generation. Like right now, you can get online and, meet somebody, and then in the same breath, meet several people, and not only that, there's also a
That's really
push of
dangerous.
promiscuity, in our generation, where it's like you're with this person, but you also have to have like three other people, which is in and of itself is crazy. I never understood that, because just imagine
Have
all,
backups.
exactly, it's like you have backups. So that goes back to saying like, one foot in, one foot out. It's like when this person, is not acting right, let me go open my bag and pull this one out.
Let me put this one out.
This one is gonna act right for today. That one is gonna act right for tomorrow, and it's just crazy behavior because it conditions the brain, to move that way, which eventually leads you to never have trust. Because even though when you come across the right man or the right woman, since you've been dealing in these things, you will always think like they're doing the same things that you're doing.
Right.
Which even if the man is like doing everything right or the woman is doing everything right, but because you've been doing these things, you still expecting the same thing, that you are doing with this new person.
And that's what you're saying there is very true. Because you can find an innocent girl or an innocent man or young man, they find themselves in the consequence that they didn't even have attention to do that. But because that reputation is already destroyed, and now you find out when something happened, you see, or I mean, a girl or a man react like she's the one who did what happened before.
Yes.
And you find out that it's kind of like it's not fair if you take a look on the other side, because we find out that now people are starting to like, you take somebody burden, you bring and you put to
And
another.
you put it on another.
Although maybe she didn't or he didn't, he's not in that class. So do you think that really true passion it is there out?
I believe there is, but it's people are a lot more guarded now, because of not just like I said, we see so much online, and the majority of things that we're seeing online, we might see 10% out of 100 might be good. The other 90% is the negative.
Wow,
You
that's
know,
dangerous.
and all you're seeing, like if you go on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you look up men and women relationships, you're seeing, for example, people who are more popular is the people who are doing the, like the negativity,
Negativity.
and
Yes,
trying to
yes,
make it
yes,
mainstream.
Yes.
Like people, like husbands and wives who are, this person is secretly seeing somebody else, that person secretly seeing somebody else. This person has, like is married, but they have, they secretly have a child with someone else, and while the husband thinks that's their child, and then, they ask them, hey, there's something that happens, this show on YouTube, where they find like random couples, and they're like, hey, how long have you known this person? How long have you guys been together? Do you trust each other? Let's exchange phones and let's see, what's going on. And like it's just some of like the craziest things that you see.
All right.
And like one of the things that I last seen, which I thought was very heartbreaking, was this elderly couple. They were in their 70s, and they've been married for 42 years. They were married for 42 years, and so what, like that, they asked them, oh, how long have you guys been married? Oh, we've been married for 42 years, and we're just coming from, they're coming from eating dinner. This took place in LA, and they're like, oh, do you, how much do you trust your partner? And they're like, oh, I trust my partner completely. And the woman said, yeah, I trust my partner completely. And they're like, okay, let's exchange phones, and we're just gonna go, through like our social media and just to see. And so they exchanged phones, and the husband, when he was, going through the social media, he's like, oh, yeah, there's nothing here. And then the wife went to the social media messages like, yeah, there's nothing here. But the interviewer said, well, did you check the messages? The regular messages? And so he goes into the messages, and the wife was talking to somebody named Steve.
Oh no.
And unfortunately, they were sharing nude photos, exchanging, and the husband was completely, you can just see his face when he saw that, and you see like his heartbreak. Like I thought this was my person all these years, and and then this is what I come to find out. And not only that, it's now out there for millions of people to see. So there's that shame that's carried along with that, that embarrassment. And it's something like, according to the woman, she tried to play it off like, oh no, we're just friends. It's,
Oh no.
he's from, he's from, I think it was some kind of meeting, and the husband completely did not know, and you see him just, try to hold back tears. You can see that he's upset, but he's trying to hold it together.
Right.
You know,
For
so
the camera and everybody.
yeah. So and it's very very heartbreaking. Yeah.
Wow. This is very powerful because now that means people, young generation or everybody who try to look for love, I think people they need to be very careful now because since the commitment, and we're gonna talk about commitment a little bit, but since there is it's really hard to find someone who has a pure pursuing passion. That means even commitment, and that brings us to the second point. Commitment is very, very hard to find because that's why you find a lot of cheat. Because if you cheat someone, if you cheat your wife or your girlfriend, that means there is no the true commitment right there. Which the commitment is a second point that it shows a true love. Because if you have a true love inside of you toward your partner, you will be committed in everything, every single thing. But now you find that a lot of young, I'm gonna talk men because I am a man. I don't know about girls, but men sometimes they trip girls a lot.
That's true.
Girls a lot because they'll need girls just because of their body needs, and then they will not bring any. They will not show any kind of commitment on their love journey, and this happens to a lot of women, and women they are suffering because you find maybe a woman she's in labor, and a man is not even there. He's busy doing his thing over there, which that is not good. Commitment is a very, very good thing when it is a true love. I don't know what you guys think about that, Tante.
Well, I think Christ set a very good example of commitment. He was committed, like he had that passion and love and a commitment to go to the end, even like die a very shameful like death. Like that was the most shamefulest death you could ever have. He was committed to us. Like, he had that passion. He was committed to do anything. And that just makes me think like we have in our generation we have a lot of broken hearts trying to make a whole family. That doesn't work. It just you're creating more broken hearts right out there. But there's just like this broken world out there, and it's like you come into a relationship and you're trying to make all these things work, but you're like, I still have my past that I am still yes I still have to work on my past, and I have all these things. So you're not committed to the future and what is like in front of you and what this relationship needs to be built on, but you're committed to your past.
So why are you introducing a new chapter although you are not finished for
You're
the
not
last
finished
chapter?
with your last chapter.
No, it's true. It's true. Like for me, like what I've seen, like I've seen, like personally what I've seen, it's like there was this one instance where I had an employee, and this employee was married. Her husband was working a construction job. But this employee, when her husband was at work, one day I noticed a car, pull up to the store, and I'm like, "Who is that?" And she was like, "Oh, that's a pastor." And like, "Why is he here?" He's like, "Oh, he's here to bring me some food I'm like, okay, let's bring you some food. I'm like, okay, where's your husband? Like, my husband is working. I'm like, something is not adding. Something is not adding up. And so I'm like, how often has this been going on? And she's like, oh, he fixed my car. He drives me off to places. And I'm like, does your husband know? And she said, no. So you think this man who's married, just doing all, random things for you without your husband's knowledge, is just doing it for the kindness of his heart? It could be, but based on what I've seen, how she carries herself, I know it's not.
Right.
Yeah. And so she's like, oh, I'm just using him. He's gonna. No, I'm serious. Like, she's like, oh no, I'm just using him. I know he wants to have sex. But I can just, have him drop me stuff, buy me stuff, and help me around. Yeah. It's like holding him. It's like holding him on a leash. And in my mind, I'm just thinking how, like, first of all, like, it's crazy that she would tell me this. How comfortable, like, do you have to be to tell somebody this? And you're married, you have a husband, and her husband was in an accident, like a very serious accident, where he almost died. And I'm like, and she is not only using him, because he got, she's like, oh, I'm just waiting. We got this big settlement from his accident that we're waiting to get. And I'm like, God, like, please, I hope I never come across an individual like this.
That's a really good prayer you did right there.
Because this is a nightmare scenario. And later, I ended up having to let her go for other reasons. But later, she ended up getting pregnant by the pastor, and she had an abortion, and the husband still did not know.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy things.
Wow.
I see things like that, and I just pray to God, like, I hope no matter what I do in life, I never come across such an individual. Because that kind of thing is not only, as Africans, like, when you marry someone, it's like you're marrying the family, right? We have foundations and traditions, and for something like that to happen, not just because we're African, but just in general, it's traumatizing beyond repair. You will never trust after experiencing something like that. You suffered a life and death scenario, and then the person who you thought, the mother of your children, mind you, was doing all these things behind your back. You didn't know, and then you find out later, and it shatters you. So I would see things, and I pray to God, like, if it's like, I hope if something like that come across, just free me from it. I hope. I'm serious. I pray to God that I never come across such a thing.
I like the story. It's very interesting. And when you were talking, what came to my mind was submission. As a woman and as a wife, the Bible calls you to be submissive to your husband, and I see that as a way of commitment. You're committed to your husband. And in your story, I see that the wife was just not submissive.
And I don't want to cut you off. This is what I was talking about yesterday. In the book of Proverbs, if you read, it gives you really highlights
them are married.
Oh,
So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got to learn that most of them are not willing to be submissive. You know, like
They are married,
But they don't
not
want to be
ready
submissive.
to accept to be submissive.
It's a battlefield.
it's a battle. So it's like,
Ooh, not to be committed.
yeah, like I want the whole marriage life. I want to be married. But in the marriage, your role as a woman, you need to be submissive to your
Right.
partner, to your husband. So in our generation, you see a lot of women getting into marriage and they're not willing to be submissive. So you get two masters in the house.
Oh, yeah.
You're like,
Which is dangerous.
Yeah.
It causes conflict constantly.
yes.
Wow.
Like I want
Two
to do
masters in the
this.
house.
Yeah, I want to do this. And my husband's like, no. Like you're not the master of me. I can do whatever I want.
Right.
And that's like the unsubmissive
Right.
spirit that's walking around women in our generation right now.
So the commitment point, it looks like it's on the women's a lot, because all these small girls that they are married nowadays, they are not ready to be advised. They are not there.
I believe that it's not that they're not ready. It's that they don't have a proper foundation.
Yeah.
Those who don't have a foundation are easily led astray by whether it be their friends, the media. It's easy to be led astray. Because right now, like, men and women, it's like every time it's constant battle. You should do this, you should do that, and the men are like, oh well, I expect this and that, and so all you end up having is like butting heads, odd expectations. But I found that people before they should be in rather marriages or relationship, they need to have, do you have a good foundation? Do you have good values? Like, and that goes to, who you are, where you come from, what your culture is like, what your family's like, how you grew up. That determines, like what kind, the majority part determines like what kind of person you are.
But on top of that, remember, this world of media is destroying a lot of women.
No, absolutely.
If you see the amount of women that they are going naked out there, it's crazy. And now the same women, they're expecting to be married in a respected home.
Yeah, so there's a thing that's been going on that past, I don't know, say maybe like the past 8-10 years, where the media is pushing for what they call it, what they call feminism, right? Women liberation. But it's like, is somebody have you chained up? Like, what? Who you need liberation from?
Yeah,
who?
from who?
Like who is oppressing you? And they teach them like, oh, like, go travel alone, meet a lot of men, date around a lot, and then later, then you can think about marriage.
Which that is wrong.
And then for men, when they see stuff like that, it's like, well, you were out there giving your best years to random strangers.
Wow.
So why, when you've had all these crazy experiences, like, why should I be the guy that has to come and basically deal with all
Deal
that
with
trauma, all
all
those soul ties? Like, why should
I'm not
why
ready
should I,
for
like,
that.
that's a lot to put on somebody.
Yes.
But that's been what the agenda, that's what's being pushed for, what they call sexual liberation. Like, oh, you should sleep around with as much people as you want, and then later down the road, then like later after like in your 30s, then you can consider, marrying somebody. And it's like you've had, and the way I look at it personally, it's like, and it's just not for men, it's just for men and women,
Both sides, yes.
it's like all these connections, because like we are social human beings. When you keep connecting all these individuals, like by the time you get into like your next, what you think is supposed to be like your last relationship, um, now you have all these things that you're gonna be comparing to.
Right, right, right.
You know, oh, this person kissed me better, that person did this better, and you're not doing this like my last husband or
Now
my
you
last
have a lot to
boyfriend or
check.
my last
You have a long
girlfriend.
list to check.
Yeah, there's a long list of things, you know, and
Wow.
and that ends up causing, you know, conflict and eventually breakdown of whatever the relationship is supposed to be. But that's what I've seen. This and social media has been pushing this agenda. It's what you see mainly when you go on social media. You know, you see very little time you'd see positive posts or
Very
videos
little, very
regarding marriage, regarding relationships and commitment, especially commitment, being like one of like, you know, being committed, being faithful. You hardly ever see that. You see the things that are more scandalous, you know, and it's dangerous because like the generation that follows after us, they see this,
Oh, yeah.
and that, you know, their brains are still developing, so to them they see this and they think like, hey, this is the normal, this is how it's supposed to be, but it's not. So, and then when they get into relationship, they wanna, you know, like they wanna start dating around, you know, whether they be of age or of, you know, underage or not, they stop doing the same thing. And this goes into being pushed in like movies, music, especially in like as human beings, we consume so like now we consume so much media, and if and you know these companies know this, so they okay, let's push for this because we know like this thing's gonna get people talking, and kids see this, and you know as they're developing, it's rewiring their, you know, their brains, and this is what they expect to be normal. So instead of you know, this goes where women want to choose the guy that's, you know, that's either involved in like criminal activity, you know, and they're like, oh, this is the guy that I want, you know, or the man is seeing, oh, this woman, she's up there, she's in a bikini, she's half naked, she's got, you know, like, oh man, let me get with her, you know, and it's just all false intent designed to further weaken our society, and continue to divide this, to keep driving a wedge between like men and women, and commitment and proper households, you know, which ends up, you know, like this person gets with that woman, and then you end up seeing, you know, they, you know, she gets pregnant, but they're not married, they're not together, it was just something short, and now that woman has, you know, a child, now she's a single mother, and he's a single father, they're not together, they're not getting along, now this person gets with another man, and now, you know, it's like a repetition, you know, now you have this one woman with like 3 or 4 different kids from different fathers, the men the same thing, and these children, they grow up in these broken families without knowing, you know, the proper loving care over a mother or over a father or a proper functioning household. And as they grow up, you know, they're gonna just repeat the same cycle.
Same style, yeah.
And
Same style.
what do they see when they look at TV? The, you know, on the internet, social media, the same thing, because that's what they're used to, and and unfortunately that's what's being forced down, you know, our society.
And talk, wow. So that means what it's been taught right now, it's a total different from the true marriage, or from the true love that it's had, the all that kind of list, do you think there'll be any commitment?
No, it's true. It's true.
People that run away,
Yeah.
they'll be like, oh no, I can't carry all this. I'm out. So, how do you think we can advise people through this commitment, and how to try to tell them how they can try to not to live the life of to be dragged with what their eyes are seeing, with what their emotional feelings they are pushing them, because these things, it's coming and costs the marriage life now. When you say, okay, I'm gonna play for a little bit, play probably 20 years, and then in your 30s, then you think to settle, then those things will come and start to destroy your home. You will not find again the true commitment. It will be lies upon lies. I mean, running here. So, how can we advise people through these 2 points that we have? We already talked about, and then we're gonna come to finish with the last one. How can we help them in one way to the other, at least to share the idea that can help people out there? Tanti, what do you think?
I think having self-control, knowing your values, knowing who you are, understanding your identity and the person that you are, then put all those things together to bring out self-control. So knowing your values will cause you to know, oh, I can't just go and sleep around with anybody.
You become a goat. You become a goat. You sleep with any.
Yeah, anybody. Because you know you will have that, as we say, passion. Because you will look at your future and you said, okay, you imagine this is the future I want to build.
You want to pursue.
You want to pursue that future. You say, okay, I can't just sleep around with anybody. I can't just go and walk around with anybody. You make a list and you say, okay, this is what I want in a partner. And if I don't see this in this person, then it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. So you control yourself. You know who you are. You know what you want. And that will help you, like, get into a good relationship, know what you're looking for. And also prayer, pray for your husbands. Even if you're not married, pray for them. You say, Lord, this is what I want.
And if I can add that, prayer is not only for believers.
No.
If we all believe that God is the one who created us, that means you are able to put him at least in your normal routine life.
Yes.
At least to guide you in some things, like thing like this. You spend time sleep with men or sleep with girls, and then at the end you said, okay, now I want to settle, and then you bring all those problems to your wife or your husband. Although your husband, he might be innocent, or your wife can be innocent. There is people, I'm telling you, there is people that, I'm assure you, there is people that they didn't do much in this world when it comes to play with girls, when it comes to play with, to do crazy things. But now when you find those kind of people, or when you find that kind of girl, when you find that kind of man, and you try to bring your experience that you did out there to this kind of woman or this kind of man, you are killing them without any kind of reason. So, as Tantini said here, when you know yourself, try to respect yourself. First of all, it's your value. It's your value. It will help you to be committed because you already know what you need and what is your future, what kind of future that you want. Now, when you know what kind of future that you want to see your future house to be, then you will respect yourself. You will walk with a whole, to be careful in things that
think that's true. This goes back to foundation. Like you need to know yourself and know that what goes around comes around. You know, if you out there doing messy things, eventually, you know, let's say like down, you know, 5 years, 6 years from now, you are doing something good. Eventually, those things are gonna catch up to you. You know, and then now, you know, you don't have proper explanation for those things. And it's like for men and women, you know, those who have been engaging in, you know, adverse sexual behavior. Let's say that you found, you know, a good man or a good woman, and that person doesn't know all those things about you. And say that you somewhere out, you know, with your friends or your family, and then you hear that person, they see your husband or your wife, and they're saying, "Oh, this person was sleeping with so and so and so and so back in the day." Da 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 da.
That's so embarrassing.
You know, and then you, as the person who's married to this person, you having to hear that,
Really?
and it brings a level of embarrassment to you. You know, because you're like, "Oh, you married that?" Like, how could you marry like that guy? That guy's not good. He did this and this and that to that girl, or she was doing this and this and this, all these things, and you just hear, and then like now because you're already attached, now you gotta deal with the fallout. Now you have to deal with the fallout of all those things. Yeah. So like I just go back into thinking like people, and it's very difficult to know if the person that you meet, if you know they're that kind of person. The only time could tell. Time, who they are as individuals, how they carry themselves, goes a long way. Who do they associate themselves with? You know, sometimes like who their friends are. You know, like if you know you're a guy, you're around with other guys who, you know, you might be good, but all these guys, all they do is like sleep around with random women and, you know, cheat, do drugs, do all these crazy things. And you get with somebody who's good, eventually at some point this person might be like, you know, you hang out with these people, but all these people, all they do is not good.
It's not good, right?
Yeah.
They start to
So
advise you.
and you're friends with these people.
Right,
Like
right.
if you're good, these people all they do is bad things. Like at what point are you gonna fall into the same habit? Right? And it goes the same for women. You know, if you're a woman, you know, you're good, you do all the right things, but then like all your friends, you know, they wanna spend they drink like, you know, they drink like goats and and
Drinks like
they drink
Chem-
alcohol like it's water.
hey,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
drink alcohol
they drink like camels basically, and they're in the clubs all the time. They're constantly partying with different locations, different men, and if you're looking to like get into a serious relationship with somebody, and this is the kind of friends that they have, eventually, you know, these friends are gonna convince you to do something that goes against your core values. And if you're not somebody who is strong, somebody who has a good foundation, eventually you're gonna fall into that. Yeah. So, and I can only use like myself as an example. Like at one point, I had friends who would do crazy things as far as like, you know, drink, drugs, you know, but I don't partake in all those things. But at one point, they're like, "Oh, somebody saw me like, oh, you hang out with so and so, like, you know, were you out there getting high too?" And I'm like,
Yes.
"No, I'm not." And then I have to reevaluate, like, this is what these people do. It's not the path. I'm not on the same path. You know, I'm on a different path. So I have to detach myself,
Yes.
you know, because I'm not just a follower, you know, because I know myself, I'm not going to do those things. But if these are the kind of people that I'm constantly around,
Right.
then I know that they cannot convince me, but the outward appearance,
Appearance, yes.
um, that's the kind of person I am. I'm just like them because that's how they perceive me because I'm around this type of people.
That's right.
And because I know I'm not that kind of person, I have to detach myself because I don't want my outward appearance to be that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Powerful. Beloved, try to detach yourself for any not necessary groups that you see that they can destroy your reputation. You might be innocent, but because of people that you're working together with them, what they are doing there, and the same reputation, it can come to you because you are working together with them. To going in closing of this session, let's touch the last point we're going to talk about maybe in about 2 minutes or 3 minutes. The last point is pleasure. Pleasure in relationship, pleasure in love, pleasure. Do you think a lot of people they do have that pleasure of their union?
Personally, I think it varies. For marriages, the statistics would say no. For whatever reason, I don't understand. Rather, they whether there's conflict or they just get tired of each other. But based on the statistics, it says no. There's been studies done that, at least for here in the United States, that, a lot of people who are married that they're unhappy, whether they're men or women, they're not, rather be suffering from lack of physical attachments from their spouses, which cause them to, to feel less wanted or less loved. But that's, I can say it goes back to individualism. I believe that those who truly, and this is not going with people who, like sick or dealing with something that prevents them from being physical. I believe, at least like for men, I can speak on that behalf. For men, they receive men a lot of time, like how they understand love is through physical engagement often. For women, it's usually from like the emotional perspective.
Perspective.
Yeah.
That's right. Tati, what about you before I take over?
Well, so women, as he said, we go with more of our emotions, what we feel, and that can take a very big toll on us, over like how we think about a man and how we look at them. It's like it can feel like, oh, he doesn't satisfy that feeling that I'm feeling. Although, I might be trying my best to satisfy him physically, but what about me? My emotions, because to us emotions do matter, and like you can do the smallest thing. To you as a man, it might seem like, oh, I didn't do anything, it's just a small thing, it's not gonna bother her. But to a woman, it's gonna take a big toll. It might be small, but over time, because I'm talking by experience, we make it a big deal. We make it into a big issue. So for a man, being more of like a physical, signs of love, they might come, oh, let me just hug my wife. I wanna hug her. She's like, don't touch me, because like you did something that in your eyes it might seem like it was small, but to her, because she works with more of her emotions, it's a big deal to her.
That means if I cut this point, pleasure is very important into union
Yes.
because there is a place God a little bit in it. God loves us, but the love wasn't enough. That's why he came himself,
Yeah.
nailed to the cross. Because if he shouldn't do that, of course, love it should be love, but there's no any action.
Yeah.
You find people, they say, okay, you don't love me. Okay, we already been in love, let's say 20 years. And do you expect that the love is only love who drugs or direct or drive that kind of or union? No. Pleasure, it plays a big part in the love, in the journey of union, on the partner. Pleasure plays a lot, a big role. Because if you love your partner, of course you will have so much pleasure to her or to him. You will do things that will make your partner to continue to be ready to move forward with you probably 50 years, 60 years in the union. But if you find like you are with your partner and sometimes when you do things the guy he doesn't even laugh. He's like a soldier every time. he's
Air Force.
I mean that is not good.
Yeah.
You know, seriously of course is good in certain
To
points,
certain areas.
certain area, but it's not like everywhere.
Yeah.
So it is very important to have that. These are routines. Let's say it is the roots of love.
Yeah.
There is a where that love cannot speak, but your pleasure speaks.
Yeah.
And if I could add to that, also it goes into understanding, like the small stuff about your partner. Sometimes like the small stuff, make the big things work, right? So you have to do, like the little things, like your partner, the things that, they have to, because when you do things, you have to try to put yourself in the other person's, view the situation from the other person's perspective,
Right.
correct? So if it's you, how would you want to be, received or things done for? And so if it's not something that you would like for yourself, but that person likes that, and it's gonna make that person happy, then you try to do that for that person. And if you truly believe that that's your person, I don't think you can get tired. I mean, it's just like the simple pleasures. To do those things like whether it be every day or every other day or whatnot, but it's things that make your partner happy. They bring her a smile, they bring him, whatever it might be, but it's something that's gonna bring joy to that person. Yeah. So then if you truly love that person, you go out of your way to do this thing, not because it's for you, but it's for that person. And that's true love. When you do things that it's not gonna benefit you, but it benefits your partner. It makes your partner's day better. And you do that. And if that person also feels the same way, they'll try to to do things that gonna bring you joy, and that's what's gonna keep pushing that union forward.
That's right. Wow. This has been a very amazing moment for you people who are in love. Please make sure that you have a true passion toward your partner. Have a true passion and commitment toward your partner. And the last, you need to have a true pleasure, not a pretend pleasure. something that can help other people out there. So this is EMTV. We are coming to the end of this session, and I believe that it will help you, even for you, the one who came a little bit late. But remember, these videos, they will stay there ever and ever on our platforms. So go there, and I believe that you will learn more to this. I can say God bless you, but remember, this is EMTV. We are going to be here every Friday and every Saturday. We are live on our platforms, and you are more welcome to join us. And before we say bye, if we have last words, and then I'll be able to say bye to our viewers.
Okay, last word. Be sure um, you are allowing yourself to learn more about your partner, and not just saying, "Oh, this is it," because there's more to a person than what's on the surface.
Right.
So before you make the next step,
Right.
make sure you learn more about your partner.
That's right.
And also to add to that, be genuine in your approach or in how you take care of those relationships, because it also matters just as much.
That's right. That's right. Beloved, I believe that you took something on that, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see you next week on Friday. We're gonna be here from 6, probably 6:30. We're gonna be live again. Our studio is opening every Friday, 6:30, and we close up 9 or 10 at night. So I can say see you again next week, and please don't forget to do us a favor to subscribe on our channels and